Back out to Allen. Klay for three. Good!
When you think Golden State Warriors basketball, you think two things. Not only elite talent, but cooperative elitism. A collection of superior star power, yes, but more importantly, a combination where each star has an on-the-dot, clear-cut role. By playing perfectly into their individual roles, ironically, it allows them to come together as this singular, synergetic machine. And as a result, 1 through 4, stars of this team probably have the most defined, most locked-in roles out of any team in this association. And of course, there's still going to be some tinkering with the rest of the roster, especially here relatively early in the season with a few new faces. But this 1 through 4 quality has made it a lot simpler to incorporate the rest of the squad. And with what's already been accomplished in the past 3 years or so, the goal of this franchise has become not so much to improve, but rather to keep the same system moving from year to year, sort of like rollover minutes. A consistent coaching staff leads to a consistent game plan. And furthermore, they look to young and consistent plug-and-play pieces like Patrick McCaw and Jordan Bell as the priority from here on out. What I mean by plug-and-play is they can enter into the same consistent, proven game plan and contribute with slight to no adjustment necessary, where PMAC fills the role of an Andre Iguodala, while simultaneously developing to be more and more capable of filling S-Dot's role, and Bell fills that of Draymond Green seamlessly, and sometimes even JaVale on the offensive end. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 starters completely locked up where they're at. We're left with number 5. Now, as we all remember, when Golden State made that bold move at KD, the number one main concern everyone was talking about was exactly that center position. And though it was mostly fabricated controversy for the media to toy with, there were some legit worries, probably most of which stemmed, for me at least, from just a longtime Warrior fan recognizing that the only true shift in philosophy and the only true shift in culture came with the addition of Andrew Bogut. And so although these worries probably lacked proper discernment, they simply didn't sit very well with many of us, myself included, until we started to see it in action. And how did Golden State combat this? Well, they used a variable rotation of bigs, as well as the interior prowess of Draymond and KD to steady the ship. And, well, it proved to be a low-key genius move, and it worked out pretty well. It's surprising to me that more franchises haven't adopted this system and entertained this method much. You can't find yourself that one do-it-all star will grab a multitude of diverse, consistent role players and let them take turns contributing their respective strengths to collectively cover all grounds. Granted, other teams around the league don't have the same gravity to attract talent or the same talent in the first damn place to cover any lapses that come hand in hand with such a system. But nonetheless, though this system did basically create a locked-in center by committee, the chatter remained. There were the people vouching for JaVale to start and play the most heavy minutes. There were those calling for Draymond to take over the role completely since he was already more than halfway there, and just simply slide Iguodala into that lineup. And of course, there were those content with the system as is. I myself fall strongly into that category, or at least I did last season. Though I'm still a big fan of this C-by-C system, new arrangements would have me calling for its slight change. But before we get any further, I gotta stop and rewind for a sec. Remember how I said that the 5 spot was the only, so to speak, loose position on the roster? Well, that's not completely true. In a sense, this whole center by committee system is sorta a defined 5 role in itself. Zaz got his role locked in. He's got to set powerful screens for shooters, battle for positioning inside, and occasionally screen to roll for his own shot inside, or make the pass to the open dude in the corner, the cutter under the basket. And if it does fall into his lap, he goes ahead and take that mid-range J. D West got his role set in stone as well, and it's essentially the same as Zaza's. And JaVale's got his, easily the simplest of anybody on the squad. Create vertical spacing on offense through that lob threat he will always be when he's on the floor. Bang on D and don't allow the leap everything mentality to take over. But even those defensive traits he's not necessarily relied on for, because though he's improved a substantial amount, that's just not his game. And what's also real interesting about all this is going back to those initial concerns with the addition of KD. Zaza fits almost exactly into Bogue's former role, does about everything they needed out of a replacement, excluding being a shot blocker or an athletic leaper, which isn't so crucial at any rate. He brings the same defensive intensity, the same strong screens, the banging on the boards, the post play, the IQ, and to make up for those aforementioned traits, he adds extra touch and finesse inside around the basket and on that mid-range jumper. This is why Zaza was so aggressively sought after immediately post KD. Why they allowed Dedmon to walk away from a deal. Why they almost allowed JaVale to do the same this past offseason. It's clear that maintaining consistency in all corners is a major aspect of the front office's vision for the future of this team. But just do me a favor and disregard all of this for a minute. The fact remains, Golden State does not have a singular solution to that center spot. Is that a problem in itself? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. They've pioneered this new age, new era lineup, referred to as, of course, the small ball death squad. And that name's not an overstatement with how deadly this lineup is. The problem lies within the key cog of this setup, the key cog of this system, Andre Iguodala. No player's ever ageless, even those who, every time you think they're slowing down, when you think that time is coming, they promptly push through and emerge just as effective as you know and love him to be. Andre's one of those guys that seems to be immune to father time, but no one is. It's just that guys like him have a slower burn, an extended release, if you will. You look at Dray's game, if it wasn't for that rare level of basketball IQ, he'd be long burnt out at this point, with so much of his earlier game reliant on pure athletic abilities. Now, the point I'm trying to make is, at some point in the near future, they're gonna need someone else to look to. Yeah, there's Patrick McCaw, there's Estad, there's spot-up shooters like Swaggy P and Caspi, or, whoever they got in their place next year or the year after that. You got options, but there won't be any option as effective as playing that small/big role that Draymond's revolutionized. Nobody as effective as Jordan Bell. Just the utmost perfect player to run a squad with no traditional center and not miss a step. With time, with development, he'll be an even better solution. He'll be able to run the floor, play off the wing, make the right pass, the right decision, and he can play the interior game. He can defend the paint or the perimeter. He can switch off his screens. He can feast on the boards. I mean, there's not really anything else you can ask out of a guy in that role. Really, what else do you want out of him? With Draymond next to him to battle most everything the NBA's got to throw his way at that position. I mean, folks, what we're talking about is a whole new small ball squad with not only a Draymond to cover the 5, but a Draymond light right next to him. Yeah, that's right. Not a plug-and-play piece any longer. Not someone to sub in for Dray and play the same role, but actually his sidekick in that lineup. Now, let's slow down for a second. Hold up. Let me be clear. Without Andre, I don't care what vet minimum dude you place there. With Steph, Klay, KD, and Draymond manning the 4 other spots, SBDS will be effective and they'll win games, but it's not going to be as deadly as this. Hell nah. And it's not going to be as deadly as Iguodala either. And I'm not talking about a squad to come in with a burst of energy and just turn the tides anymore. No, I'm talking about a group that can not only finish but start the game together. And I know that who starts the game doesn't matter all that much, but I'm saying in theory, there's a lot of potential for this unit to play a much larger portion of minutes than it's currently being allocated, and be a hell of a lot more successful too. Now, of course, as always, you still got question marks. The most prominent being what happens when Draymond's got a matchup that he just physically can't 100% deal with alone. Those couple of guys around the league that really have his number, so to speak. Easy, you play a matchup accordingly, just as Kerr already does. Give Zaza and the center by committee group a larger role at those infrequent matchups. And there's also the concern of how crucial Zaza's screening is to Steph's game, to Klay's game, to any shooter really. But you're already going to small ball more often than not. It hasn't harmed, it's helped big time thus far into these past 3 championship runs. Zaza will get his chunk of minutes. He'll get his time. And of course, there's still Iguodala to plug in. there's still Sean, there's still PMAC, and the rest to switch it up while maintaining this small ball core. Now, before I get ahead of myself, I gotta state that as of now, Bell's still developing. They're still bringing him along slow, but man, I've seen enough. I swear I've seen enough to know that this has got to be the lineup of the future of this team. And I want you guys to let me know when you think Jordan's going to be given that starting spot, or at least when he'll become the main utility piece in that small ball squad as opposed to Iguodala, if you don't think they're ever going to want to start with the small ball squad, which I think eventually they will, especially with this prospect Jordan Bell. Now, could he be starting by as soon as the end of the regular season, or will it take a little longer? Will it take 1 or 2 years down the line? Let me know in the comment section down below your answer, as well as any thoughts, feelings, perspectives at any point in the video, and I'll talk to y'all soon. I'm signing off. Peace.